My favorite part of what happened wasn't even my husband standing up for me. But when the mother-in-law said to my husband that she had to warn me about his dad, he backfired with, "Oh, I know you're not accusing dad of what it sounds like you're accusing him, especially since you're the only one who ever laid a hand on us." He's never called her out or used that tone with her before when I was present, and it was absolutely beautiful. But anyway, here's the small update since some have been asking. After my mother-in-law finally left, my husband apologized profusely for her behavior and said he honestly didn't think she would ever do something like this. I told him it wasn't his fault and I was proud of him for standing up to her and for me. Fortunately, the rest of the night went perfectly. The only other issue we had was mother-in-law's husband, 2 family members chastising us, then leaving when they heard his mother was removed and why. His mother's sister, however, laughed and said she knew she deserved it. She only wished she could have been there to witness it with popcorn to enjoy. We recently got back from our honeymoon, and so we revisited the issue of his mother after giving it some time. My husband asked if I was comfortable even being in the same room as her now. I told him I thought about it a lot, mostly about how uncomfortable I've always felt around her. It doesn't bother my husband or brother-in-law when she's being insulting or when she attempts to emotionally manipulate them because they say they're used to it and they basically ignore it. It's been hard for me to sit there and it makes me feel uncomfortable that I'm going along with what I know are lies. So now that he's finally talked about it and opened her eyes to the elephant in the room, I would probably feel more comfortable around her now if she were to actually show remorse for her behavior and respects our boundaries from here on out. And to those who are worried if we have kids, I hope I can put your mind at ease when I tell you my husband already made it clear he will never feel comfortable having her around our kids, unless we are also present. But who knows at that point if we'll be comfortable letting her around them at all. I've talked to my husband more than a few times about why I think he should start standing up to his mom, but I never pushed the issue after he told me the reason he doesn't is because she did something traumatic when he last stood up to her when he was a teenager. I've only ever expressed my worry that the lack of boundaries would cause issues down the line, and my husband acknowledged these past conversations and apologized to me. He said he wishes he made his boundaries clear with her, so maybe she wouldn't feel like she could get away with doing something like that during our wedding. It seems like you have expressed boundaries, and with certain people, they don't respect them. We decided on him calling her to see about going over to her house to talk to her. He's gonna tell her that he will not tolerate any more negativity and manipulation attempts if she's gonna be in his life. And if she can't handle the boundaries, then she's not capable of having a relationship with him or us. He's going over there this week, and I'm genuinely hoping it goes well. I think I will talk to her depending on how my husband's conversation with her will go. Something tells me, prediction, she's not gonna listen. She's gonna play the victim. She's gonna manipulate. She's gonna gaslight. She cost us our security deposit and was planning on sabotaging the wedding. I just want to take a second to thank you all for your support and advice you've given me, us. I posted this story with my husband and brother-in-law's permission, and they were very receptive, taking a lot of your comments to heart. They agree that their mother will never change, but they wanted to talk to her to lay everything out. The 3 of us sat down to talk about what we wanted to say. We thought they were prepared for a conversation with her until I got a phone call from the coordinator for the wedding venue. The venue coordinator awkwardly told me she regretted to inform me they would be unable to return our security deposit after we violated the damage clause of our contract. I was obviously confused and asked why. Apparently, their cleanup crew noticed a Mary Jane smell from the groom's quarters and found a whoopity whoop in the trash. Any or use was strictly prohibited and was stated in the contract to be a violation. I immediately knew what happened before I even spoke to husband. I apologized to the coordinator and explained it was my mother-in-law who was removed from the venue. She said she was sorry to hear about the damper on our special day. Little did we know it was no damper. It was our savior. One of the details I edited out of my original post was when mother-in-law were in the bridal suite. Before things started to go sideways, she offered to share her pen with me. She told me she brought it for fun and I should let loose, but I told her she couldn't here.
It's not a big deal. It's legal here, right?
Mother-in-law protested. Oh, are we Canadian? It doesn't matter. The venue doesn't allow it and we signed a contract, I reaffirmed. All right, I'll just do it outside later. I'm sorry, but you can't. You can't smoke anything anywhere on the venue, inside or outside. I really was dealing with a toddler. I told husband about the phone call and he explained. She offered everyone in the groom's quarters, but they told her we couldn't smoke there. But when they all left to help finish setting up, instead of volunteering to help, mother-in-law and her husband stayed behind to husband and brother-in-law chastised them when they came back and found them and made them throw it out. Husband apologized for not telling me, and he said he didn't want to add any more negativity for me from our day, and he hoped they got the smell out so no one would find out. One person suggested husband and brother-in-law should record the conversation with their mother, and while that was a great suggestion, none of us really felt comfortable doing that. So instead, husband called me and put me on speaker in his pocket so I could listen from the comfort of our home. Husband said he wanted to apologize to her before they got started. He said he was sorry for never being honest about their feelings for her, but before they got into that, they wanted to talk about boundaries. He expressed his disappointment in her when they specifically asked her not to. When brother-in-law told her we had to forfeit the security deposit, her jaw dropped. She blamed the venue for not having any no signs. Husband and brother-in-law said they were never going to let her try rewriting history again because they were too old to gaslight. Both brothers affirmed their truth. Mother-in-law said she believed them, but she swore they thought they meant sick. When brother-in-law mentioned that the security deposit was a lot of money, mother-in-law said that she was sorry, but her a little bit shouldn't have been a big deal. And she didn't see the harm since my dad paid for the wedding and he's loaded and he will never miss the money. Yet again, we are not taking accountability. Husband corrected her and told her we paid for much of the wedding costs, including the venue, so she actually cost us money. Mother-in-law asked if he was actually going to make her pay us back. You know what? I should. We expressed a clear boundary and you still broke it for your own selfish reasons. And you should be offering to pay me back with an apology. That would be a great way for you to start making amends. But we're not going to put either one of us through asking you to do what's right. We're going to give you the opportunity today to show us you do care about us and our feelings. Mother-in-law shrunk down in a desperate pile of tears, shocked to learn that her sons thought she didn't really care about them and asked how they could possibly think that because she loves them so much. Husband later brought up the wedding incident and asked what she had to say about that now and what she would say to me if I was there. Mother-in-law resumed crying and said she felt like it was happening all over again, that she felt ganged up on and it was hard to sit and listen to. She said she thought they were coming to apologize for kicking her out of the wedding. Husband finally crossed the line of return. He said he wasn't surprised that she thought that. He admitted that what they were trying to say is that she's selfish and is hard to be around, so we always have to walk on eggshells around her. But they love her and they still want a relationship with her, and while they weren't asking for her to change, they were setting and asking her to respect their boundaries with no pushback when they enforce them. I think toddlers take rules better than my mother-in-law took those boundaries. She argued and yelled everywhere she could. She told them that moms don't need boundaries, and she was appalled that they thought it was okay to treat her this way. She raised them better than this. She admitted she knew she wasn't the best mom when they were growing up, but she tried her best and loved them with all their heart, and that's all that matters. She told them they don't know how bad things got for her. When she would disappear, it was because she was protecting them. Brother-in-law said that they might believe that, but asked what excuse she had for the Mother-in-law was horrified again at the accusation and fiercely denied any She tried claiming it again that their dad brainwashed them and he was the culprit, but husband showed her a scar left by one of her long nails, proving it was her. Mother-in-law said she disciplined them as any other mother would and never meant to hurt them. Husband just scars easily. She tried joking about how they were bad boys. Husband and brother-in-law stared at her coldly and said it was more than discipline that they didn't deserve. She said they couldn't understand because they weren't parents yet. She said no parent is perfect, but all parents deserve to go to their kid's wedding, and they had no right to take that away from her. Mother-in-law demanded to know if husband had any regrets. He told her he did, and they watched her smile slowly turn into a scowl as he explained. He regrets never setting any boundaries with her. He regrets spending the last 10 years of their relationship pretending her behavior was okay. He regrets never being honest about his feelings with her. But if he had, maybe she would have second thoughts about trying to ruin their wedding. Mother-in-law cut him off and became shrill.
Ruin? You think I wanted to ruin your wedding? I was so happy to be there, you have no idea what I was planning on doing for you and me.
Husband calmly asked what she meant by that. Turns out, mother-in-law had more wedding surprises up her sleeves. She said she was planning on talking to the wedding coordinator about switching up the ceremony. She thought it was unfair how the wedding party always goes last before the bride. So instead, she wanted to walk down the aisle with husband right before my dad and I. She was even going to tell the coordinator to ask the guests to stand for their entrance so he would get as much attention as I would. Also, one of my bridesmaids had to drop out because her due date was the same week of my wedding. I didn't want to replace her, so there was one extra groomsman. No big deal. But mother-in-law knew this, so she said she was going to stand in her place for her as my bridesmaid after just walking down the aisle with husband. Just out of curiosity, where in the lineup did you plan on standing? Brother-in-law asked. Right after her sister. That's where the bridesmaid would have been, right? It would have been a wonderful way for me to be a bigger part of your wedding. Then mother-in-law revealed she also had planned on sharing a speech after the mother-son dance. We never approved this and she never paid a cent for the wedding.
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and read it to you boys. Maybe you'll actually regret the way you treat your mother.
Her speech started with her introducing herself and making a joke about how she was glad to be finally at his wedding, so maybe people would stop mistaking her as her husband because she had him so young. She went on about the benefits and challenges of being a young mom. Okay, so making it about her. She talked about how she was forced to leave her ex-husband and leave her boys with him, and it was the hardest decision she ever had to make. She missed them at every moment they were gone, and every morning she woke up praying they were safe. Mother-in-law said parents aren't always ready when they have kids, and she's humble enough to say she wasn't at first, but she thanks God for her boys every day because a mom is who she was meant to be, and she never would have found that or herself without them. She talked about how she went through more struggles than most, but she was proud to say she raised two of the best men that she knew. She ended her speech with how her boys were the light of her life, and she can't wait to see what life has in store for them next. Husband asked if she really planned on doing that without all his permission, and she said
it wouldn't have been a surprise if she told him.
He and his brother stood frozen, speechless. So mother-in-law said, "See? That's how much I care. I told you I wanted to be more involved in the wedding. That was my way of showing you and me how much I love you both, and you ruined it." She confessed that no parent is perfect and she knew she wasn't, but she tries to do better and they can't see it because their dad painted her as the bad guy. Husband took her hand and sat her down on the couch. He softened his voice and told her he sees that and he knows she tries. He and brother-in-law thanked their mom for getting herself together from when they were little, but husband said that just because she's trying doesn't mean she doesn't still make mistakes. He carefully pointed out that even her rationalizing those would have been surprises was manipulative, and it was selfish of her to impose herself like that on our wedding, and said this is exactly why there is boundaries from here on out. Mother-in-law started yelling again, claiming they were the ones manipulating her, treating her gestures of love like
acts of the devil.
She said their dad and I were vilifying her. Maybe they would start to see her for who she really is, and they wouldn't need boundaries if they actually visited more. Husband asked if she has any regrets about what she said to me at the wedding and if she would apologize, but mother-in-law said she can't apologize for doing what she thought was right. Husband and brother-in-law told her where we stand. Husband said he wasn't going to let her be around me at all until she proves she can respect boundaries without any pushback. Mother-in-law said those boundaries were harsh, and she thought it was disrespectful of her to have them at all. I mean, everything she's doing is disrespectful. She asked what's gonna happen when we have kids, if I will let her babysit when she can't be around me. Okay, Mom, since you're making me say it, I've never felt comfortable with the thought of you alone with my kids. And honestly, after the wedding and now this, I don't feel comfortable with the thought of you even meeting them until and unless you prove you can respect boundaries. And these are my terms, not OPs. Mother-in-law yelled more, added in cursing, raving about how this isn't happening, and life hates her because she didn't get a chance to really be a mom, and now she won't ever have a chance to be a grandma. She called them horrible and selfish, and they have no right to say this or do any of this to her. Brother-in-law pointed out they're not even asking her to change. They just want her to respect their boundaries, and they don't think it's a lot to ask. Husband asked if there was anything she wanted to ask of us. She asked for the opposite of every boundary he and brother-in-law had just set for her. And more phone calls and visitation, of course. Oh, and she wanted a full apology from husband, brother-in-law, and myself. People that treat you always act like it's like a privilege to have them in your life, and it's like, it's not. It's really not. You're kind of a hindrance, honestly. Husband stated he had enough of this, and they gave her every opportunity to show she's truly caring about them, but she made it all about poor her at every turn. He told his mom it was ridiculous she couldn't compromise on the bare minimum for them. Husband said where they stood now was she had to accept their new boundaries, or they wouldn't be able to have a relationship with her. She said she didn't know them anymore, and all she sees now when she looks at them is their dad, and she doesn't want to know them anymore. They said they guessed that this was goodbye, and they're sorry that it came to this.
No, you aren't. If you were, you wouldn't be doing this. You'll regret this one day.
They came home to the biggest hug from me and a home-cooked dinner. I think having that conversation healed a lot of the old wounds for them. I will support the healing process just like they supported me when I needed them. Thank you all again for your suggestions and support. We heard you all, and thank you for helping us get to this point. I hope you enjoyed the journey. This is someone who literally does not take accountability, ever, even when they hurt people. And unfortunately, being a person like that, you're doing it to yourself. People won't want to be around you, and unfortunately, you'll have no one to blame but yourself. And going low contact or no contact is the only way they'll understand. I'm really glad that you guys said everything that you needed to say, and that your husband and brother-in-law said everything they needed to say. This healed something in me. Thank you for sharing.